Hello, everybody. It is November the 1st, 2022, and it's time for another episode of AMA Air. Coming up today, we've got Government Affairs Director Tyler Dobbs joining us to tell us a little bit about those advisory circulars from last week.
I'm going to tell you about a trip I took to Austin, Texas for Science Olympiad.
And we've got the announcement for the brand new Club of the Month. All that and more coming up today on AMA Air. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of AMA Air. My name is Matt Ruddick.
And I'm Lee Ray.
Hello, Lee. Welcome to the show again. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Hey, did you have a good Halloween?
I had Halloween. I ate a lot of candy.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do.
You know, as my kids are getting older where they didn't go trick-or-treating, but they had fun anyway. They hung out, and my youngest gave out candy. He thought that was fun. And my oldest made a kind of a costume. It was like a school project that he walked around with, had LED lights on it. So he entertained the little kids. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's changing times, but we did have fun. And by the way, we had some of the best Halloween weather we've had in a long time. So it was good to just sit outside and enjoy the costumes.
That's good. We had rain here, unfortunately. It was like a drizzle, so it wasn't even like enough rain to where people didn't go do all the trick or treating, but it was enough just to make everybody miserable.
I went as a garbage bag. I got lots
Exactly.
of
Oh man, well I certainly had a good time. I was watching a lot of scary movies over the last couple of weeks, and Halloween is just like my favorite time of the year. And I'll let everybody in on a little secret. So for the last 14 years or so, I've taken my October Halloween season and spent them with a band called the Graveyard Stompers, and we played a couple of shows over the weekend. So that was my way that I celebrated Halloween this year. So. That is us playing one of the gigs this weekend. It was a lot of fun. So that's my peek into my other life. So
Well, it's good to see you up and at 'em, you know, and you've been down for a while, you know, down the count. So great to see that you still got it in you, buddy.
Yeah, you know, it's good. All the health stuff that I had to deal with is all kind of gone by the wayside. I am almost completely recovered from all of that. So everything's back to normal, which is awesome. Oh, I'm ready to, as we said on the last episode, ready to be back in the saddle again and back to our normal lives. So there we go.
I think on another episode, you're going to have to do some jamming for us. Maybe you can jam the
Hey,
intro.
if you've been a regular watcher of this show, you might have already heard some. Let's put it that way.
I want a live show. I mean, this is where we can stream a live Matt Ruddick jamming for us. That people will pay to see that.
You know what? If I tell you what, if we can get, let's see, let's make this realistic yet not realistic. If we can get,
Somewhat possible.
if we can get 1,500 likes on this video, on this episode of AMA Air, this is the challenge for all you watching at home. If we can get 1,500 likes on this episode, I will indulge Lee's request.
You know what? This is great because I used to challenge you for like drone racing and stuff, and now you challenge yourself. You're moving up, buddy. So yeah, guys, 1,500 likes. Smack that like button down. Let's get Matt up here jamming for an episode of AMA Air. I want to see that. I want to see that.
Absolutely. I want to give a shout out to Flying Fortress RC who's in the chat. He says hello from Defiance, Ohio. That's not that far from us. That's only maybe 2 or 3 hours away. I think.
Cool.
So hello, Flying Fortress RC. Thanks for watching us today. Well, let's jump into it, Lee, because we've got, well, first of all, before we jump into the main topic of the show that we want to talk about, you guys might find out that, or see that today's show is a little bit different than what you've seen in the past. So we talked a little bit on the last episode. The formats are changing just a little bit. So today we're going to have, it's going to be maybe a little bit shorter of a show with a little bit longer segments for you guys to enjoy. But we've also got a brand new show that we're launching today called AMA Air This Week. And this is going to be a weekly show that's going to be going out in conjunction with our AMA This Week newsletter. And that's going to go live, let me check my invisible watch, at 3 p.m. Eastern today. So it'll go out about the same time you guys will be receiving that AMA This Week newsletter. And it's basically the video version of that newsletter. I'm going to go in a little bit, cover some of the stories that are in that newsletter for you. Maybe you don't want to read the whole newsletter, you just want to see the video, you can do that. Or if you just want to watch that video and see what might be in the newsletter, if there's something that interests you, you can go read more about it that way. So you guys can check that out here, right here on our YouTube channel. Again, it's going to go live at 3 p.m. Eastern. So right after this show is over, you can check that out. And I hope you guys enjoy that. But,
so it's like my little version. It's like the Reader's Digest, the large print version. So for those of you who don't want to read the small email, you can go to our YouTube channel and see Matt's lovely face and describe to you what's happening in AMA this week. And I got to preview the show. It looks great. And, I think what Matt's adding to is that the this week is kind of sharing the news, the thing that's processing through our corporate office, and these shows for AMA we're going to keep it relaxed. It's always been relaxed, but keep it relaxed. Have some more guests on and talk about the things you guys want to talk about. Do open up for more Q&A. Yeah. Again, just have fun with it. That's our goal.
Maybe be a little less serious than we've been in the past. Although we do have a pretty important and I would say serious topic that we need to cover today, and that has to do with some updates from the government affairs team. And to help us do that, we've got a very special guest today. You guys have seen him here on the show in the past. His name is Tyler Dobbs, our Senior Director for Government Affairs. Tyler, thank you so much for joining us today on the show.
Well, thanks, Matt. Thanks, Lee. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Tyler, do you play any instruments? We need to have a backup for Matt. You play the drums or something?
You're out of luck there.
No, just try it. We see the whole AMA band together.
Have an AMA Air band. That's what we need. Well, Tyler, for those that may have not heard, I think most people probably did, but if they didn't, last week the FAA dropped the advisory circulars that we've been waiting on for, quite a while at this point. Why don't you give everybody watching a little bit of a taste of what those advisory circulars were and what that means for them?
Sure. And you're right. Yeah, we have been waiting on one in particular, which was Advisory Circular 9157 Charlie. And that advisory circular is the next edition of what we had previously been operating under, which is the same number, but the Bravo version. And what Charlie does is it moves things forward in that it allows for organizations like AMA to be officially recognized as community-based organizations. And that status, I'll call it, what that does is it gives us a better seat at the table. It requires that if the FAA wants to make updates or changes to the way that we have to operate, they now have to bring in organizations like AMA and say, okay, guys, we need to make a change to whatever that requirement would be. Let's sit down and discuss it and come up with a solution, rather than just the agency going out on their own and making the requirement and there not being an equal voice at the table. This changes that. Mm-hmm. It also will allow us, AMA headquarters, to request FAA recognized identification areas for our club's flying sites around the country. It cleans up an educational provision that AMA worked with the Armed Service Committee in Congress on a couple years back. The original bill back in 2018 only allowed for university level educational programs to be done under the recreational rules. And in that new legislation, which was from 2020, it now allows all levels of education to be done either through the Education Institute or through a chartered club through an organization like AMA. So we were glad to see that cleaned up in the advisory circular. What that didn't do is really change any rules. The rules were written back in 2018 by Congress. What these advisory circulars do is they give guidance to recreation and educational users on how they're supposed to operate and where the FAA is on the implementation period. That's why we saw two versions. Back when we were operating under 9157B, that was what the FAA had implemented up to that date. It's when laws pass, it's not just like the agency flips a switch and yesterday we operate this way and today we operate in a completely different way. It takes some weeks, months, years to implement all the rules. And so they need a few additions of advisory circulars so that those will represent the actual point of progress the agency is. And this advisory circular, like I said, had been long awaited. We had hoped that community-based organization recognition would be in the first advisory circular. So, we would be able to assist through all these processes. The agency didn't go that route, but nevertheless, we have it now. AMA has applied to be a CBO. When we hit the submission button, it said it could take up to 90 days before we get a response. We have a ton of safety documentations that the agency will have to go through and evaluate before we get that approval. But we're happy to get approved. And as soon as we do, we'll share that with our membership. The second advisory circular, and Matt, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'll briefly touch on it, and then you can ask some questions if you have them. But the second advisory circular focused on FRIAs, or FAA recognized identification areas. And if you remember from the final rule of remote ID that the FAA published a year or two ago, that was one of the ways you can satisfy the remote ID rule. There's 3 ways. You can go buy a new aircraft where the broadcast module is built into the aircraft and the control station or transmitter. You can add a broadcast module onto your existing aircraft if you're flying something that's not brand new. And then the third way would be that you fly at a fixed location that has been requested to be a FRIA through a community-based organization and recognized by the FAA. And that would allow you to fly your aircraft without the need for the standard remote ID or the broadcast module add-on. But that advisory circular essentially gives what the process is going to look like. The types of information that the CBO will need to request. If you're denied, it lets you know that there's still a path forward. You can try to mitigate the reason for denial and reapply. Some of the reasons that you may be denied are outlined in that advisory circular. So it's really just a document focused on it. That's obviously going to be a big issue and a hot topic moving forward. All of the AMA clubs want to get their sites officially recognized as FRIAs, and we're happy to help them do that. So that addresses many of the questions that we had and that our members had.
So I got to ask you, Tyler. So, I know obviously the CBO recognition is something we've all been waiting on for more than a couple of years now.
Yeah, for sure.
Ever since the announcement of the FRIA situation with regard to remote ID, I know we've gotten a lot of calls. I'm sure you've fielded a lot of them as well, about folks wanting to know how they can get their club field registered as a FRIA. That's what this kind of lays out, this process. Is it ready for everybody to start throwing applications at the FAA to get their club field to be a FRIA?
Unfortunately, it's not. So FRIAs can only be requested by 2 types of organizations. One is educational institutes, which obviously already exist. If you log on to the FAA Drone Zone where you went to register, you can see a section there that allows you to request a FRIA. When you go on to that specific section or that page, only educational institutes right now can request that because CBOs haven't been recognized. The portal's open to apply for CBO status, as I just mentioned, and AMA has. But until AMA and others actually get officially recognized, which is between last week and 3 months from then, CBOs cannot request FRIAs for recreational flying sites or operations. Once that portal is open, once AMA is recognized, we will be contacting our clubs and our members to say, hey, we're officially recognized as a CBO. We're ready to start the FRIA application process. We need this information from you. I've mentioned in some other platforms and communications that AMA Club should be designating one person to be the FRIA representative. That person that's going to be dealing with AMA, going to be providing information. What we don't want to see is FRIA recognition open up and AMA starts contacting clubs and we have 9 or 10 people from the same club who says, oh, we need to apply for a FRIA. Here's the location we need. And that location is completely different than the other 9 people that submitted something for your flying site. So we really need that one trusted point of contact for your flying site, for your club, and we will work with them hand in hand to get your application submitted to the FAA and get that site approved. But just hold tight until we reach out to you. We've got a specific methodology on how we plan to do things and the processes that we will need to use. So it's not going to benefit anybody to reach out with pictures and locations just yet. We'll contact you and we'll have a streamlined process that'll help everybody get through it relatively easily.
And that process is going to be really important because of just the sheer volume of requests that you're likely going to receive.
Yeah,
I mean,
for
when you
sure.
start talking about over 2,000 clubs,
Yeah.
That's a lot of information, a lot of data that has to be processed. So bear with us, guys. But I think it's very important to reiterate what Tyler said. It's not time to do it yet. They have not opened that up for us yet because CBOs have not yet been officially recognized. We will let you know the second we get that approval and the second we can start submitting those free applications. We promise to let you know on not just here on AMA Air, but all of our AMA media channels. That will be blasted from the hilltops, I would likely imagine.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I do see a question here, and I'm going to address it. It's from the RC Air Marshal. Quick question. Does each individual club need to apply to be a CBO, or will they fall under that AMA as the organization, basically? And it's the latter. Every club does not need to apply to be a CBO. There's some specific requirements that every organization will need to meet. You have to create safety programming for all aspects of model aviation. You need to be a 501c3 nonprofit organization. You need to assist local flying sites and clubs, and it's all laid out by Congress. AMA headquarters will be that CBO, and all of the clubs and all of the members will be operating under the umbrella of AMA headquarters. So there's no need for any club or any individual member to go out and apply for that CBO status. Just operate under ours, and we will provide that guidance and all of those member and club benefits that are associated with it.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Here's another one from Roach Coach. So flying in an unmanned airfield, but not belonging to a club. What are their options?
So if I guess options in regards to FRIA status, if that's your question, you would need to fly at a FRIA to be excluded from needing the remote ID technology broadcast module or the standard built in. If that is your question and you're looking to get around the requirement for a module, then you would need to find a club that has a FRIA attached to it and try to join that club. If not, you can form a club relatively easily. If you fly at a park or something like that, you can find 4 other people, reach out to AMA and charter a club. Volunteer some of those within the group to be the club officers and the safety officer and so forth, and you can move forward. But the FAA made it pretty clear that they're not looking for FRIAs to be associated to just one person. They want these locations to be multi-people use, and that way that it can provide the most benefit. If they went the route of individuals being able to request FRIA status, there would be huge swaths of land that would be excluded from remote ID. And by default, the FAA wants you to have a module on your aircraft. This exclusion is really only for the traditional modelers, the CBO members, which is the minority in the FAA's eyes of UAS operators. The people who just go out and fly just every once in a while, or maybe go to a large chain store and buy an aircraft off the shelf. They expect and anticipate that those people will be flying with a module attached to them. The traditional modelers, the AMA members and so forth, those are the groups that the FRIA process and FRIA locations were intended for.
Yeah. So I had seen this question during the last live show that you did with Chad and Rich, and I thought it was a pretty good question. It says, what if you're at a club that has 2 different fields? In this case, this club had a runway for wheel aircraft, and then they had a waterway, maybe at a park nearby that he flew for float planes, but they were both considered under the AMA the 2 flying sites. So what do they need to do about that for a FRIA status?
First off, you need to make sure that both of those, the AMA knows about both of those locations. We have a lot of clubs that have multiple locations registered with AMA, but we can't request it if we don't know about it. So make sure AMA headquarters is aware that you fly at both of those locations, and we will apply for both of those locations. If you read the advisory circular 89-3, the one that discusses FRIAs and what we can expect when that process really begins for us, it does mention that one reason for denial will be its proximity to other FRIA locations around the country. Now, we are not anticipating, if we have a club that has 2 locations, that one of those would be denied. I think personally, my personal opinion why that's in there is so that they don't run into, whole neighborhoods and people in rural areas making just huge locations that are all exempt from remote ID. They want to have the flexibility to deny some people if they need to. However, I think in this scenario, when we have AMA clubs with multiple flying sites, I do think that for the vast majority of them, they will be approved. But again, if we don't know about it, we can't request those. So please get that information to AMA when you can.
Yep. And I think I'll just toss this out here, just in case we have some people new to the hobby, indoor gymnasiums and so forth. Do they need to apply for a FRIA?
They do not. So the FAA only has the authority to regulate what is outdoors in the national navigable airspace. So if you fly indoors, you're safe. You still signed off that you're an AMA member and you'll follow our safety guidelines. So those still apply when you're flying indoors. But in regards to FAA and FAA regulations, those stop at that door. Anything outside is FAA territory. Anything inside is yours. So.
Good question, Lee. I like that.
Well, I've flown inside Lone Star Flight Museum at a little tiny UMX event. And I'll tell you, that was so much fun to fly a little UMX plane over a DC-3, little things like that. And, but for some people who may have those tiny planes and like to fly indoors, it was just a good point. We had that question posed to us about, what's it like to fly indoors? Do you have to have our remote ID? And the good news is you do not.
Well, and when you talk about tiny planes, just a quick reminder, it's a little off topic, but if your aircraft's under 250 grams, you would be excluded from FAA registration and therefore excluded from remote ID requirements. So those super lightweight aircraft don't need to worry about remote ID or registration. All other federal rules apply to you, though.
Great.
Well, before we let you get out of here, Tyler, I do want to make sure that everybody is aware. Last week, you, as well as Executive Director Chad Boudreau and AMA President Rich Hansen, did a live stream where you went very in-depth on both of these advisory circulars and answered a lot of really great questions there. If you guys missed out on that live stream, you can go to youtube.com// at Model Aircraft. Lee, that's right. I said that right?
You did. That's our channel.
There you go. Yeah. You can check that out there. I think it's also up on our Facebook page as well as the AMA Government Affairs blog. It's a really great live stream. Covered a lot of great ground. So I would encourage everybody, if you still want to learn more about these advisory circulars and what they mean to you and to your hobby, you can go check that out. Tyler, I know we have elections coming up. You guys are spending a lot of time in DC. What's the next few months look like for you guys in the Government Affairs Department?
We're still engaged, obviously. In fact, as soon as these advisory circulars dropped, we had both the House and the Senate, the subcommittees on aviation under both reach out and wanting our thoughts and where improvement could take place, things we were happy with. So those discussions are taking place. Obviously, we have a close eye on the elections to see what happens in the House and the Senate and if the majority flips in either of those chambers. If so, that could mean new chairmans and committees and new, their focus, what's that going to mean for the new chairman and the new committees. But regardless, it doesn't matter to us. We have FAA reauthorization that is coming up in October of next year. They're already starting to draft language. AMA's already shared our language with members of Congress, and we will be tweaking that as needed here and there, and working towards a new set of rules this time next year. So just a close eye on the elections. I know that things seem to always be changing, but I do think eventually we'll get settled down. And for the most part, I think if you watch that that live stream that you just brought up with Chad and Rich. Rich always says we fly the very similar to how we always have in the past, and I think that holds true, and
Yep.
I think it will hold true. I think that now we can try to get to Congress and get back and adjust some of these issues we've seen over the past few years. So that'll really be our focus. But just, if you're an AMA member, if you have questions, please reach out. We're happy to get the actual facts to you. If you are part of a club and your club has a lot of questions, I'm happy to hop on a call or a Zoom call with your club, even if it's of an evening, and address some of those questions. So please don't hesitate to reach out. I'd rather you have the facts than to make assumptions as we, try to navigate these new waters.
And that's the correct email address, AMA.gov?
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
Very cool. There were a couple of other questions that popped in. I just want to touch on very quick. The RC Air Marshal, he asked the 250 grams, is that the flying weight or the dry weight without fuel batteries? It's the flying weight, I believe.
The flying weight, yeah. It's what it is in the air, 250 grams.
Yeah.
And Ken, I see, I'm sure this has been discussed. Do we have any idea how the FAA, will monitor or govern these models? Exactly how they have in the past. So, it's a lot easier to write rules than to go after, and enforce them after the fact. So, outside of Congress budgeting additional funds for the agency, I would anticipate that the FAA will take a similar approach. That being said, they have full authority to stop by AMA flying sites or any flying site and speak to those who are using the airspace. So always something you want to be prepared for and make sure that you're following all the rules and regulations that are in place.
Well, Tyler, seriously, I know I say this every time, but I really do appreciate you taking some time out of your incredibly busy schedule to come talk to us on the show and help get this information out to our members. It's so important to not just to say this stuff once, but to say it as much as possible, right, so that everybody can hear it. So we really do appreciate you taking the time today.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me on. And again, feel free, anybody who's watching, feel free to reach out with any additional questions. Thanks all.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you, Tyler. We appreciate it. Have a good one. So there you go. Again, guys, go check out that live stream that Tyler did with Rich Hansen and Chad Boudreau. It's so informative. I think you guys, if you have any other questions, a lot of them are going to be answered there, and you might come up with some new ones. So I would encourage you to go check that out for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, Lee, it's your turn.
My turn.
So I know you had a very special trip that you took this weekend. It wasn't too far away, was it?
No, it was very last minute too.
Yeah.
And I have to kind of give you the intro to this story. I'm not familiar with Science Olympiad. I know that AMA has participated. Kyle Jarris has been a part of it. I have not been to one of these events. And now that I've been to one, I'm like, what is it taking me so long? It's like, how come I didn't know about this myself? So I was very green going into this Science Olympiad, but I didn't really know anything about it until I had been on the phone with David Lindley, who's the president of the National Free Flight Society. He actually did a video for us for our build month on the care of rubber bands. That's another long story, but it interested me a great deal. But he did this wonderful video. And while we were talking, we just suddenly became best buddies. And just talking to him was great. It seems like we've been flying together for years. And he just happened to say, hey, I'm coming to Texas this weekend. Where do you live? And I was like, where are you going? He goes, I'm going to Austin for Science Olympiad. I'm running the event for the flight event. And I was like, well, shoot, I think I could go. So I don't want to say I conned my wife, but I begged my wife to watch the kids. And I got up at 4 and 5 in the morning to drive to Austin, met David at the rec center for University of Texas, and got to experience this incredible indoor free flight event for these middle school and high school students. And I'm going to show a little video I put together for you guys. So I'll talk over this while it's running. And guys, it's so good to see youth still enjoying and enthralled in this hobby. It is free flight. I know some people are going, well, it's not RC. It's not. You know what? This is how it starts, because I was one of those kids building a balsa kit with, white glue or ambroid glue and just tossing it in front of my street. And then you get the gillos with a rubber band, and it just builds and builds and builds. And you look at the talent in this room. It's amazing. I want to again give a quick shout out to Dave Lindley, who ran the event, but also Joshua Finn was there. He and his wife Hope were offering their services, basically trying to help the kids up with this I don't want to say experiment, this contest. And it's very thorough. I don't have all the rules here. Again, this would take me forever. But basically, they're given a kit, or they can pick from several kits. They build it at home. They are recommended they build 2, one as a backup. They also ask that they perform a log of all the flights, their build process. It's a wonderful way to get these kids to understand the beginning and the end of the whole flying characteristics. Yeah. And they show up, they weigh them, they size them, they make sure they fit for class. And then a timer starts for when they can do some flight demos, and then the best of 2 flight times. And like these young ladies here, boy, they had an incredible flight time on one of theirs. And I remember, listening to David talk to them afterwards on how impressed he was. For an example, for these types of aircraft, a good flight time is about 1.5 minutes. That's adequate. I will say some kids didn't last 5 seconds, so I'm not going to show you those.
That would be me.
there were a few questionable builds, but I'm looking at this, and I believe this is the Stinger kit that Josh sells. Some of these guys had over 2 minutes, and you just see in their hearts that they're really diligent. They listen. I have some great footage of Josh talking to people that came up to him to ask for advice. You could do that before and after the event. And again, I was so impressed. I'm so glad Dave invited me. Guys, I'm just going to throw some links up here if you're not familiar with it. But if you go to soinc.org, that is the Science Olympiad, website. And that's where you can get more information. For both Class B middle school and Class C high school, there were 23 events happening at this rec center. The flight was just one of the events going on. So like behind that screen, there was like a catapult launcher. And so there were other things going around the entire building for this event. And I was at the best one, the free flight one. And if you want to learn more about the sponsorship that the National Free Flight Society does for Science Olympiad, you can go to freeflight.org, the company that David runs. He plays the president of, excuse me. And again, just see what's in there. And for those of you watching right now, if you've never participated, if you've never lent your time to an event to try to help these kids, go ask to be a volunteer. That's all I got to say about that. The University of Texas students, there were several volunteers that were acting as timers or shuttles, runners too. And it would be great if we had more people that are in the hobby to also be in attendance. And this gentleman right here, I believe his name is Guha. He is set to go to the World Championships. I believe that's in Romania next month. Awesome. So keep an eye on that young man right there.
It's really inspiring. If you guys remember back earlier, I think in the spring, we talked about on the show that I had taken a trip down to a free flight event, the Jim Richmond Open, down in southern Indiana. And that was such a completely, it was like a foreign experience to me, but it was such an inspiring experience because everybody involved was so just laser focused and excited about what they were doing. And to see these kids, like just in the video clips that you showed there, I see the exact same laser focus and excitement on the faces of those kids. And the fact that, first of all, Dave Lindley is a heck of a guy, and it's awesome that he's in charge of the National Free Flight Society and doing such a great job with that he was there running that event. Josh Finn, if you guys don't know who he is a world-class pilot and free flight competitor. Those kids could not have been learning from better individuals. I mean, holy cow. So this is such a cool thing to see for sure.
And I don't have the podcast number, and maybe we can post it in the comments when we show this live. But you actually interviewed Dave Lindley maybe last year in one of your podcasts, so that'd be fun. And for those of you guys who are RC sport like myself, sorry, this just mind boggles me. Those planes had to weigh less than 8 grams, minus the motor, which is 2 grams, the rubber, and it's just wow. I mean, some of the building techniques were great, and it puts you guys out there to shame. So you need to work on your building skills because it's just so amazing. But yes, I agree with you, Josh and Dave. Both deserve a round of applause and our thanks for getting these kids on a path to what we do today.
And I do also want to give a shout because there's another person that he's actually in our chat right now, Ronnie Espel, who is also involved with the National Free Flight Society and does a ton of work and advocacy for youth in model aviation and specifically free flight. Another just incredible guy, friend of the organization. We appreciate all that he does. Yeah, man, this is super cool. I think I mentioned it when we talked about my trip to the Jim Richmond Open, but when I first I came on board at the AMA and I kind of got introduced to this hobby in the way that I did. Free flight wasn't something that I ever thought that would kind of, tickle the fancy, as it were. But going to that event and seeing the video footage that you shared with us, talking to the free fighters that come out for the Nats every year. Man, I'm just so fascinated by it, and I want to do it, and I think I'm gonna do it. Like, why not?
I have to tell you, it's like I'm one of the older hobbyists. So I'm not gonna give you my age, guys, but I'm one of those old farts, that flies. And after I'd been there, because I'd been flying RC for so long, and I started in gliders, but I had this super. In fact, I went to the website to go, how much is one of Josh's Stinger kits? I'll go get the C. I'll pretend I'm a high school kid and I'll get the C class. But I had that desire to go get one, and it's still right here. So maybe in our next episode, I'll have the little glider here to go experiment in an indoor event near me.
God, I'm gonna have to find his website. I'm gonna have to order myself one.
Yeah.
Well, very cool, Lee. That's super super cool. I'm kind of speechless. That was a great recap.
Well, thanks for letting me share it. Thanks, everybody. I will have that video footage. We're going to create an AMA event snapshot with some of the footage. I've also posted photos of this event on our Facebook page, so you can go to Facebook at it's Model Aviation, and you can go find the photo gallery for it. So I put up about 50 or 60 photos from that event, and again, great passion from these kids. It's a wonderful event. So check around your neck of the woods. Look for events that you just don't normally attend. Get inspired, because those kids certainly did that to me.
Yeah, definitely go check out that photo gallery that we put up over the weekend. Lee put up over the weekend. Hey, great photos, man.
Oh, thank you. Hey, well, I had to follow you for your free flight event. Those were awesome as well.
Well, very cool. Again, guys, you can go check that stuff out on our Facebook page and be on the lookout for that event snapshot. We'll be posting that over the course of the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
Let's switch gears. Where's the hashtag? We need.
It's right here. I'll get it. Curse Dylan. He pushed it all the way to the bottom. We'll just start blaming Dylan for all this.
Still
stuff.
Haunting us. Let's talk about Club of the Month, because it is November the 1st. That means we need to let everybody know about the November Club of the Month. Lee, who do we got?
Well, congratulations to the Chino Valley Flyers in Chino, Arizona. As they say, the Northern Arizona's premier RC club. Now, they recently acquired their silver leadership badge for AMA Club. And they have a great website. That's something we like to talk about having other information, other access. But I'm just showing you right now, guys, their list of all the features they have here, a great location, a map. It talks about their history. And speaking of their history, let me just kind of run down what I have here on my little notes. But the club number is 3798. They've been around since 1985. And I think this is their third field before they settled down. And I know that in their notes, they wanted to thank the Chino Valley mayor and city for finding their new location. They have about 145 members. Their runway was paved back in 2000. It's 730 feet by 60 feet. And I do like this because this is a nice touch. They said it runs east to west, so the pilot has the sun to their backs. So I've had those suns show up in the morning and just blind you. So, but that's nice. And maybe for their location, that works well for them. Around 2014, they added new covered spaces. And let me see if I can do some of the events here. Covered spaces and workbenches, and upgraded their solar charging system. They also have, and I'm going to go back to their location so I can show you. They also have a control line circle, which I'm not seeing on this one. It's on the home page. Maybe it's a different photo here, but right there, they have a control line circle, which I thought was nice.
Yeah.
And parking for trailers. And coming up in, I guess, 2 weeks is their November fall swap meet and fun fly. So again, congratulations to the Chino Valley Flyers. You are our choice for Club of the Month of November 2022.
Very cool. It's the control line circle is pretty interesting. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just kind of some sort of, I don't know, weird visual bias that I end up having. But I feel like we don't see a lot of club fields with dedicated control line circles attached to them. So so that's awesome. I love seeing that kind of diversity of disciplines there. That's awesome. I want to give you guys a quick update. So Ronnie put up in the chat the link to Josh's website. I have already pulled it up and bookmarked it so that I can get on there and purchase a kit as soon as we go off the air. So thank you, Ronnie. I appreciate you throwing that up there for us.
Let's just
saves me a little Google time.
I need 3 more people out there. Just go place the order just to surprise Josh with, why are these are kids that come in late to the game.
Yes, exactly.
We'll create our own team. A class F.
I'm going to leave that alone. So, so we have the Club of the Month. We also need to talk about the cover photo contest for the iFly AMA Facebook group. If you guys are not yet subscribed to or joined the iFly AMA Facebook group, go to facebook.com/groups/iFlyAMA. And every month, if you guys have watched the show before, every month we get to select a brand new cover photo based on the submissions that have come in and how many people have interacted with those submissions. So Lee, I'm excited. I'm ready. I love seeing these submissions. Who do we got for the month of November in the cover photo for iFly AMA? Ah, yes.
All right. So this aircraft belongs to John Cease. I just communicated with him earlier. It's probably a message from him right there. This is, I missed it. There we go, back there. So this is his OV-10 Bronco in the paint scheme for a California firefighting Bronco. I love it. Yeah. And so he is our winner for this month. And guys, of course, you can always just, add photos. It's free. There's no charge to do this. There's no purchase required. Just go to facebook.com/group/iFlyAMA. Boys, a lot of slashes in there. And we have a featured post at the top that talks about submitting your photo. And you too can grab a quick photo, a fun photo, and maybe you'll be on the cover. So as soon as I talk to his photographer, which by the way, he did email me, the gentleman who took this photo, his name is Neil Shepard. So good job, Neil, for that. I guess that's Shep Photo right there. Yeah. And we will have that up there this week. So good job, John.
It's a gorgeous airplane. Looks beautiful. Love that. Well, guys, of course, as we mentioned at the start of the show, Halloween's over. Disappointed.
Sorry. Sorry, Matt.
But what does that mean? That means that it's the holiday season has begun. I think officially begun. Does it count?
Well, if you ever go to Hobby Lobby, it started back in August.
Well, that's fair. That is fair.
I guess it's trust me,
it's
now.
Not just Hobby Lobby either. It's all of them. But I think it's safe to say that the holiday season has begun. And I want you guys to be aware that we have a whole heap of stuff for the pilot in your life. If you go to shop.modelaircraft.org, we've got all sorts of stuff there that you may want to pick up as an early holiday gift for you or yourself or your loved ones. Hey, I buy myself Christmas gifts all year long. What do you want me to do? Again, shop.modelaircraft.org is the place to go. And in fact, we do have something special on sale right now that you can get as a AMA Foundation blanket. It's a fleece blanket. It is very cozy, you know what? I should have brought mine with me.
Crank the AC
I feel like I failed.
That's okay. Well, next time we just drape it over. We don't say anything. We'll just have it draped around you as a scarf.
I was hoping there might be one near me, but there's not.
That's okay. No pressure.
Well, anyway, it's a beautifully snuggly fleece blanket with the AMA Foundation logo embroidered on the corner. They are on sale currently for $20.99 until the end of the year. And the benefits from the sale of that blanket go directly to the AMA Foundation. So if you guys are interested, you can head over to shop.modelaircraft.org and pick one of those up. I will let you know supplies are limited, so I wouldn't wait too long to go do that if you're planning to do so. But again, that's at shop.modelaircraft.org.
Buy one for yourself, a friend, a family, or a pet.
You know what?
I
think my dog would like one.
There you go.
She's very. It's the best way I can say this.
Spoiled.
Yes, that is the best way. She's just very spoiled, and she's very proper, very prim and proper, and she has her own blankets.
Keep her nice and warm.
Currently, she's got a Spider-Man blanket, but what are you going to do?
Let's move her up.
Yes, she does deserve an upgrade.
Make it classy.
Again, guys, we wanted to let you know, we mentioned this earlier in the show as well, that, obviously AMA Air is, the format is a little bit different today, but we have a brand new show coming to you in 15 minutes. It goes live in 15 minutes. We thought this show was going to be shorter. What are we doing? This is the same length as it always is.
Matt's leaving this studio. He's going to the one next door. It looks just like this studio, but it's different.
Got to change the shirt. And yes. So it's called AMA Air this week. It's going live again, 3 p.m. Eastern. That's in 15 minutes from now. This is going to be a weekly show that's going to go out in conjunction with our AMA This Week newsletter. If you guys aren't yet if you're not getting that AMA This Week newsletter, that's been going out for a number of weeks now. If you're not getting it, you can still subscribe to it. You just have to go to our website. It's modelaircraft.org/newsletters/AMA This Week. It's got tons of great information in that newsletter. And in fact, if you have gone through your AMA account on modelaircraft.org and designated your favorite disciplines within the hobby, your interests in the hobby, you will actually be sent content directly in that email that's dedicated to you and your interests. So it's a real cool deal, and we'll be putting a few of those stories you can find in that email on AMA Air this week, and that's going to get going out every single week. I hope you don't get tired of seeing my face every week.
Well, and my interpretation is this: you get a bite-sized chunk of the news with a happy, smiling Matt Ruddick. It's something quick. As some of the comments said, I don't like reading, so you can just push the play button, listen to Matt's soft voice, give you the news they made, then come here, hang out with us. Let's do some Q&A. Let's talk to you guys. We'll have more guests on the show. Keep it more fun and relaxed, and of course, we'll also keep it newsworthy, because if we hear more news from the FAA about the CBO status and FRIA status, we'll bring Tyler back in and share with all you guys.
And it's a very bite-sized show too. It's less than 5 minutes, and in fact, it's I think somewhere around the 4-minute mark for this week. So just kind of, it'll vary from week to week, but we're going to keep it nice and short so you guys can digest it quickly and move along. Because I know if you guys are like me, you have a lot of things going on. You're very busy.
And they're going, when is this ending? They're going, okay, you guys are still rambling. We got to go to the next bite-sized chunk. We can't stay here all day. So
again, guys, AMA Air this week. It will be debuting here in just a few minutes after this show ends, right here on AMA's YouTube channel. So youtube.com/@modelaircraft, that newfangled YouTube naming convention. I kind of like it. I'm into it. Yeah. We'll see if it sticks. Yeah. But with that, I think that's about all we have. Lee, do you have anything else on your end?
Well, I will throw this one out there. If you're not a member of the Academy of Model Aeronautics, please consider joining. Go to modelaircraft.org/join and be a part of this amazing, soon-to-be official CBO, and help us get your club become a FRIA and continue flying like you always have and have a good time.
Yeah. And remember, if you want to see me do some sort of musical stylings on the show, 1,500 likes, and we'll make it happen.
Let me state that again, folks. Hit the like button. Get your friends to hit the like button. I'm going to share this to all my friends. If we get 1,500 likes, Matt's going to jam for us live on the show. Let's have fun with that, guys.
Yeah. Well, I hope it happens. Ken, we appreciate you guys coming out and watching the show with us today. This has been a blast. Lee, thank you so much for being here with me. It's always a good time, always fun talking to you. It's always fun seeing you guys here on the show as well. Thank you so much for watching here live. And those of you watching after the fact, we appreciate you as well. Hope you can join us next time live right here on AMA Air. We will have another episode in 1 month's time.
See you later, guys.
See you guys.